What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the altar again, and this time we are here with Josh of Catch Your Breath. It is great to be able to have you here, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. How's it going?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right for Monday standards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But it's so awesome to have you here. Shame on Me is the debut album. Can't wait for the rest of the world to hear it. But do you feel like that the singles that we heard so far, such as YSKW as well as 21 Gun Salute and Savages, is like maybe a good representation of what all of Shame on Me is going to sound like, or is that just scratching the surface?
That's scratching the surface, I think, because I think we have songs like No Evil that are going to be on it. There's another one, heavy banger called Cycles, Don't Go. So there's plenty of stuff for, like, you know, if you're a circle pit, mosh pit kind of guy that loves metalcore, we got stuff for you on there. We've obviously got Dial Tone and 21 Gun Salute. We wanted to show kind of like a wide diversity of things that we're able to do, a lot like A Day to Remember does in their type of music that they do. You're not really sure what to expect whenever they drop a single, and that's kind of what I really wanted to do, especially since nowadays I feel like people are kind of moving away from trapping themselves in one genre. So I think it was a perfect time for us to kind of do the same thing.
I wanted to say, like, upon like hearing the singles from Catch Your Breath and everything, one of the things I said was this is the perfect time for a band like this, with the rise of Bad Omens and Fit for a King and like a lot of those genres of band. Invent Animate's another good example, that it almost seems like Currents. It almost seems like that there is like a lot of that sort of modern day sound, and it really does seem like the future of music is pretty genreless.
Yeah, and you can even go bigger with that, with like Demi Lovato and MGK, like really people crossing over from what they would traditionally do, like rap or pop or what have you, into making like full on rock albums, regardless, you know, of how we may feel in the metal community personally about MGK. I think he's done great things for the genre, and it's only like propelled us into being cool again, you know, because there was like a while where this genre, like, we were kind of unsure what was going to happen, you know.
Everybody talking shit only wishes that Kim Kardashian would wear their band logo on her shirt, right?
Right, like they wish that they were headlining in Brazil, speaking their, you know, national language, and, you know, covering one of their national treasured songs. You know, that was, I don't know if you saw that going around, but that was awesome. I don't care what kind of pants he was wearing. You know, I care that there was, you know, 200,000 people standing in front of him loving everything that he does. So people can hate all they want, but the man's made strides for us.
Definitely. And with like this being the debut in a way, and you in a way kind of just answered it, but like when it comes to your songwriting process in general, was there sort of like a preconceived vision? Let's make a song that's heavier. Let's make a song more melodic. Or do things kind of just turn out that way?
More or less lyrically, we did that. We've always like kind of been searching for like what it is we're trying to say, and a lot of the stuff that I pull from is like personal experience that may be told through my point of view, or even somebody else who I feel like, you know, maybe I heard in my life, I'm telling it from their point of view. And it's a lot of it, a lot of the album, if not most of it, are songs about things that I personally went through as a young man growing into a young adult. And we're honestly looking forward to kind of continuing that into the next album.
Yeah, would you say that maybe that's almost kind of like the meaning of not just the album title, but maybe just the meaning of Catch Your Breath in general, just sort of like either the pain or the responsibilities, or, you know, growing up is something that we all do one way or another, for better or worse. So is that kind of like you're going to be like your long running theme in a way?
Yeah, in a way, I wanted to talk about things that, like, maybe you're not necessarily afraid to talk to your boys about, but like kind of things that you're afraid to admit to yourself. You know, like sometimes you make mistakes in life and you have to learn from that. And, you know, sometimes you've been hurt and you have to face that and talk about it. The message is like, you're not alone. You can talk about these things, and that's how you get past them, is you let yourself actually go through it. You feel it and you move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, the message of the first album was like, music definitely helped me a lot growing up and through my early adulthood. And that's what I want this album ultimately to do, is help out those same people that are kind of feeling like they're the only ones that are in their position, and then they turn on Shame on Me and they're like, oh no, somebody else is also, you know, been wronged in this way, or they're ashamed of themselves in this way, which is kind of like what sums up the album title of Shame on Me, as regardless of whether or not I made mistakes or somebody else made a mistake, I put myself in those positions, you know.
Do you want the music to be more open to interpretation, or like, because I think that this is a very important subject matter, because, you know, speaking from my personal experiences, you know, I'm turning 30 this year, so as a natural result I'm looking at all the things I may have fucked up in my 20s in a way. So I think it is kind of like an important message to, you know, of either talking about regrets or mistakes or whatever. So do you maybe want to try to maybe engage the listener into the meaning and not just leave it completely open where it's about whatever you want it to be?
Yeah, well, actually, at first I was kind of scared. Like, I got asked a lot, like, well, why did you write the song? What's the song mean to you? And I really didn't want to put my influence on the song. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a lack of better words, I didn't want to, like, tell people this is what the song is about and what you think is invalid. So, like, I kind of have a different perspective on that now. And that is, when you guys ask me why I wrote the song, you're asking me why I wrote the song. You're not asking me what you should take from the song. So I leave it open to you guys. Whatever you take from the song, don't invalidate yourself by why I wrote the song.
Yeah.
You know, because if it helps you in a different way, then take that and run with it, you know.
Because Metallica's latest album, 72 Seasons, which represents the first 18 years of somebody's life, I feel like there's almost kind of like a similar meaning, or like almost kind of like sister concepts in a way. Why do you feel like the sort of metalcore style that you expressed was sort of the best means of expressing this sort of meaning?
I think metalcore, or just metal in itself, is probably, minus like maybe like the new, you know what I'm talking about, like Smino and like the rap underground and stuff like that. That's really expressive music. But outside of that, I don't think another genre of music touches metal on like expression.
No, can't. I mean, if it's loud, it's more expressive. I mean, that's just a simple formula.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to scream what you're saying, you know? Because you've spent so long screaming into the void. When you get a chance to write a song that's screaming something that you're angry about, it just, you know, it feels more real and more passionate.
To quote the great Squidward from SpongeBob, if we play loud, people will think we're good. So
exactly.
I think he was the one who laid down the groundwork for heavy metal. Fuck what Sabbath I know.
Thank you, Squidward.
Yeah, thank you, Squidward. I hope you got your clarinet demo out on Metal Archives. But with having different usages of your voice, being both very aggressive and very melodic, does it almost express maybe a different side of you on a personality level too, or being that, you know, it's all part of the same music, they very much express the same thing and it is just different techniques?
I don't really. I think it's all just the same person, you know. I don't think that anybody walks around happy all the time or angry all the time. I mean, you might, but that's probably something that you should talk to a therapist about, you know.
Well, anybody who claims to be that is full of shit. So.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you like listen to the band Fozzy.
I love Fozzy. Did
you ever watch Headbanger's Journey, a metal metal documentary? Headbanger's Journey. Did you ever watch that?
No.
He interviewed Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho actually said something that like changed my perspective on metal. And he was like, if you're this all the time, it's fake, it's forced, and people know. Like, if you're always balls to the wall metal and that's the only emotion that you feel is like whatever the most metal emotion is, and like it's forced, it's obviously forced. He was like, the best way to create longevity in your career is just be authentic, be yourself, you know, and show all sides of yourself. Why not?
Absolutely. I mean, people tend to forget that there was a whole movement, which is what inspired Metallica to rebel against, that was all about happy and glamorization, you know, whether, you know, the sort of sex, drugs, and rock and roll sort of lifestyle. And by the way, that reminded me, all metalheads, without great tone, there is only sex and drugs. But like, you're 100% right. I've interviewed some of the most depressive, suicidal black metal bands, death metal bands, and they've even told me on or off air that like, we're humans. We have the desire to be happy. It's human instinct. It's like, it's scientifically proven that we have homeostasis that makes us happy. So you can't just be miserable all the time, even if you portray it.
Yeah, and now that goes to say, like, so like, there's a lot of people, like, especially like gatekeepers within this genre. They'll look at a band like Bring Me the Horizon and be like, oh, those sellouts, you know, they went pop or whatever. But like, maybe they've moved through the emotions of wanting to scream and be angry in every song, and they're in a new phase of their life where they want to talk about something else. Like, a lot of people don't realize like how much that would kill the momentum of a band when they're wanting to move to the next phase of their career, and half of their fans are like, this is garbage, you guys sold out. And it's like, yeah, you guys should look a little bit deeper sometimes than thinking that bands are just grabbing for money.
Yeah, well,
because sometimes, when they wrote Plagues, they all could have been depressive, angry teenagers, that just wanted to rebel against the world. And then when they wrote Ammo, they're like, I'm in love and I want to get married. Everything's going great. I make a whole bunch of money. I have nothing to complain about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Ammo wasn't that album, obviously, because Ollie was dealing with like addiction and things like that. But if people were to get mad, if Bring Me the Horizon wanted to write an album that was positive, I would almost assume it would be hated.
The only thing that Bring Me the Horizon is selling out is every arena in every city that they're in. So
exactly. So like, the time that people spend hating, they could be spending working on their craft and getting better and putting out, more marketable music.
Yeah, and look, there's plenty of bands I listen to where like I may not appreciate the direction that they changed in. I'm in the end I am a lover of music and I have my opinions on it. I'm not a fan of certain bands' latest music, but the old stuff will always be there. So
exactly, yeah.
So, and every album is a kind of representative of a moment in time anyway, so you can't replicate it.
I would say that even like my favorite band, like the last two albums that they put out, I won't say a name because I don't want to like get slapped in the face if I ever meet them.
Wink.
But like the last two albums, they changed record labels. I'll give you some hints. They were normally a band that was very diverse on their albums.
I already know who you're talking about.
The last two albums they put out were like, the first one that they put out sounded like it was recorded in a garbage can because the mix, and it was like, whatever, they're trying something different. It is what it is. And then the one that came out after that on a new label, it was almost unlistenable. But I'm not going to attack them as people. I'm not going to say that they sold out. They just want to do something else, and that's okay. That's completely okay. I have like their first 5 albums to jam all the time, anytime I want to. And like there are some new songs off the new albums that I like too, but you'd never see me stand here and say that they suck or they're terrible or they're sellouts. I'll just be like, those aren't my 2 favorite albums, but they're still my favorite band by far.
Going by the metalcore sort of title that we've talked about, though, because when I ask people what metalcore is, a lot of times they say it's music that has singing and screaming in it, but there are plenty of bands that have that. Heaven Shall Burn does that. I would never call them a metalcore band. Like, I would never call Fear Factory a metalcore band or Soilwork. So what would you say is a good definition of metalcore?
Metalcore to me is more of like the message. You know what I'm talking about? Where like death metal got out like the angry side of things, where they would express themselves in more of like a coded way, where things were a little more angry, but it could be a metaphor for something that's not about war. But the songs, if you were to read it at face value, the song is about war, but it's really about internal struggle with depression or whatever. Black metal being the same way, but even more obscure, where like I think metalcore is pretty much it's like the pop of the metal genre, without trying to like anger anybody. We're more spot on with our lyrics. We're less cryptic, and we definitely are more prone to being emotional in our songs than talking about like politics or something like that.
Well,
it's more of the vibe.
I feel like metalcore, though, in the end, I mean, you look at Jesse Leach's Jesse from Killswitch's lyrics, they're very different from, like, Trevor of Unearth. And that's very different from, like, Ollie of Bring Me the Horizon. So, like, I don't know. I don't think metalcore was always defined by its necessarily lyrical standpoint to a degree.
Yeah, it could be like something as simple as breakdowns, too. Like, whereas, like, death metal and black metal are going to go towards, a solo that's going to, like, melt your face off. Metalcore will take a step back and do like breakdowns. And I remember like when metalcore was first getting popular, that was like the thing everyone hated. It was like, breakdown after breakdown, I can't stand it. But like that kind of that was the first thing that set the genre apart, and then lyrically we started setting ourselves apart, and then like completely like culturally I think they're just really different, but we're now coming to a point thanks to bands like Black Tongue and oh my god, the Will Ramos band.
Oh, Lorna Shore.
Lorna Shore. We're starting to like bleed that whole genre into the core genres, and it's kind of nice that metal is becoming one like meshed community now, where you'll have like black metal fans that really like Lorna Shore and Black Tongues, but you'll have like Whitechapel fans that are there too.
Yeah.
They would have never stood next to each other at a show in the early 2000s or like even the early 2010s. That would have never happened ever. They would have probably fought each other over who was better, you know. And now it's much different than that, where like you'll probably catch Whitechapel on tour with like, you know, some black metal band.
They toured with Atreyu. They toured with Atreyu in 2019. So
yeah, so like you're going to see a lot of this in the future, where a lot of bands that you wouldn't think you would see on tour with someone else are going to go on tour. Like I think I can talk about it now. We got offered a tour to go with Bush.
Wow.
Right, and we were on our way to take it, but we got offered the Popular Monster, and I think we were like, yeah.
Fair enough. I mean,
so yeah. No hate on Bush. Love Bush, but would you ever expect Catch Your Breath to be on the same ticket as Bush? On like a tour, not like a festival.
I mean, I've seen crazier things happen. Like My Chemical Romance brought out Devil Master on 3 of their reunion dates, and that's a straight up black metal band. So it could definitely work. And I always love those diverse bills in a way too.
I think it's fun. It's a great way to also, like, I think, like, especially if you're in the rock scene, seeing live music can change your like whole perspective on a band. And I think if like the first time you see a band, like if you're going for, you know, Devil Driver, and you also see Under Oath the same day, you're gonna be like, man, that Under Oath band was pretty awesome. I've never heard of them before. And that's going to cross over a lot of fans because they heard it live, and now when they listen to the recorded music, now they're attached to when they saw them live, and now it's so much cooler, and they're going to go back and keep listening. Now they're fans.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like they're doing. Like you're going to start seeing rappers go on tour with like metal bands.
I've seen that happen already. I was at, this was a festival, granted, but I saw Ice-T play before, no, not Ice-T, Ice Cube, sorry. He played right before Godsmack and Guns N' Roses. So
that's freaking awesome.
And the audience was going insane. So
yeah.
So
and was he playing with his band? Or what do they call Body Bag?
Body Count, but that's Ice-T. This was Ice Cube.
This is Ice Cube. Okay. Oh, so he was like rapping.
Yeah. It was a straight up Ice Cube show.
Now, like what I would consider the punk genres are coming together.
Yeah.
You know, because like all the genres that are like were either created by punk or are what I would consider punk now is the new rap wave.
Yeah.
And they're starting to mesh together a lot like they did in like the early 90s. Back when like the punk scene was starting to come into like the hardcore scene, and they were starting to blend a lot.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to see that now with like just all around metal and pop artists, rappers. It's like hip hop artists. And I think that's like the coolest thing happening right now, because finally we're probably going to get something that has rap and rock that's as good as Linkin Park.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to happen. And to sum this up too, going back to what you said about breakdowns, the way that like certain riffs or certain solos are iconic, mark my words, there's going to be iconic breakdowns. I already know that the breakdown used in Whitechapel's This Is Exile is going to definitely incorporate that. Like, it's all, and mark my words, the When We Were Young festival, just watch that festival be headlined by like every deathcore and metalcore band that's out there, kind of like what Furnace Fest did.
And don't be surprised if you see like Demi Lovato headline that. Like I could honestly see like MGK, Demi Lovato, after a few years when it starts being an annual thing and it starts happening every year, and they're gonna start seeing like people actually interested in playing this. Like it's going to be really like, what would you do if you saw like Travis Scott headlining We Were Young?
I mean, I
Like,
don't know. I mean, to be honest,
I
I would
realize
be
that
I would be so
he's in,
overwhelmed
like,
at that festival anyway that like I don't know. Like
but I think you're going to start to see that because like a lot of what he's doing on his new album is, you would consider it like alternative rock.
definitely.
But I mean, and maybe not him, because he's like, the metal community has a problem with Travis Scott, and I get it. I've stopped 3 shows. Each time someone falls down, I stop our set and make sure that they're okay, Travis.
That's a good move to do. That's a good move to do, especially with the intensity of your music. Before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and most of all, thank you for your music. Is there just anything else with the release of Shame on Me that you'd like to promote in terms of upcoming tours that you're allowed to talk about at this time, of course?
I know that for sure I'm allowed to talk about the Memphis Atreyu tour. Obviously, that's happening in like a week. The 27th of this month to the 27th of August, we will be doing a U.S. tour with them, so be looking for us all over the place. Make sure, if you haven't yet, you go follow us on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook, all the social media, so that you can get updated on everything that we're doing as soon as it happens.
27th of September it ends, right? You said 27th
Yes.
Yeah.
I got the months mixed around. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's August and then September. We're not going back in time.
Okay, awesome. Hey, your album definitely has the ability to do that, so that would be pretty cool. Thank you so much. Everybody, we are here with Catch Your Breath, Shame on Me. Be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.
See you next time, guys.